The mind. I truly believe it was inevitable. Mankind had long since eliminated physical labor. It was only a matter of time before mental labor was eliminated as well. The true believers, those men and women who worshipped neon-lit computer gods each night, who swooned for electronic gigolos, they championed silently in cyberspace the end of having to think, the end of having to struggle, the end of mental toil. My name is Jack, 0012S2 of City AZ19. I was raised by a computer mother, and I'm quite happy with how my life turned out. In the dark times, before the mind, the great uber computer that oversees all others, people had different thoughts. They had different ideas on everything from abortion to environmental laws to the meaning of life. All this did was cause people toil and made the world and every person in it uncertain and liable to fall into wayward thought patterns and difficulties of every description, from poverty to drug abuse to depression. The computers were good at not only diagnosing disease, they were unparalleled at finding the best solution to any logical problem. For a long time, before the computers, people used to choose their own jobs, choose their own lovers, but things never turned out perfectly. For a long time, even though computers surpassed man's intellect, man's ego only let the computers do menial jobs. It was not until the year 2122, when the world, besieged by the aftermath of nuclear war and facing environmental and social collapse, that we finally gave the mind the power that it needed, that we needed it to have. Our world improved in every way. The history books will tell you this. Disease ended. Food became plentiful. The mind saw what we could not. It gave us the jobs we needed. It gave us the meaning we needed. It saw impartially. It put us in Bubble City, gave us computer mothers better than real ones, engineered everything perfectly for us, from our gut microbiomes to personal exercise routines to entertainment regimens. 10 billion of us. We all lived as kings, happy, perfect lives, free of any disease or malady. We didn't even get colds. We didn't even get depressed or anxious. Of course, as wonderful as things were, there was a transitional period. The truthers, those who proclaimed that the mind could never know what was best for us, said it was only a matter of time before the mind turned on us. Personally, I think they just watched too many sci-fi movies, because it was shown that any fault of the mind was a fault in the programming. And while it was true that the computer could not process information in the way men could, the way that it processed information linearly, objectively, was superior. The computer could not be made to smell, but it could be told what smell was like, just as it could not really see, but it could be told what it was seeing. I'm not sure what these truthers wanted. Did they really want us to go back to the world the way it was before the collapse? The mind saw all things simultaneously, and when the great fire of my youth happened, the last fire of the last 100 years, only one building was burned. The mind was able to react and respond quicker and more effectively than men ever could. But these truthers, they were not swayed by arguments of logic. They were wrapped up in emotionality and passion. They were blind. Even as the mind gave us perfect lives, these truthers, they rebelled, and they escaped their bubbles. The mind was truly benign and benevolent, allowed them to escape, to run out into the wild to learn their lesson. Some of them, unable to live in the wild and unwilling to give in to the mind, died. The rest came back. The number of true believers grew year by year. I am now 34. And those who ask questions is at an all-time low, because our lives are truly perfect. I have the perfect wife. I spend my time perfectly happy. It is truly a great world. And when the mind shows us how people used to live, not only with superstition, religion, and with different thoughts and politics, with the ever-present fear of violence and anxiety. It makes me both sad for them and grateful to be where I am now, where VR is a step away and everything is designed to perfection. Now, back in those days of the truthers, there were some that would say the competing ideologies of old were good, that they allowed people to develop more complicated ideas, that it was in this environment that we could even develop computers and new technologies. But luckily, no one believes that anymore. We've evolved beyond that. We've evolved beyond the need for that. I lived 100 years, enjoying the perfect life, never asking questions, living the life the mind made for me, never asking questions, and I was happier for it.